So the lens I have didn't come from, I just started with it. Okay. I was never political. I didn't start with any kind
Yeah,
of
no,
politics.
you were in a bubble like we were when we were
Okay.
babies. Yeah.
So now, the same way I would look at Kyle Rittenhouse, I'll look at any of the fucking thing. I don't not look at it. I have to look at it all day. So no, that's a valid thing to not want to be in that. If you think I am, I'm sorry to tell. I don't know what to tell you, buddy, but I'm not. I'm not any way geared towards that. I have zero, like, I have zero fucking leaning towards anything. Is just if you don't say whataboutism and look at actual thing, like, you know, the last slave free in 1942, that blows my mind. I find that mind blowing. And I thought that can't mean a slave. Oh, debt peonage. Okay, so it wasn't slavery. No, their defense was, no, there's just slavery, which is what the Nazis used for their defense of the Holocaust. We just had slavery. So literally that was the last slave. And it kind of blew my mind that they were freed because Japan was using it as propaganda against, which, by the way, is not a lie. It was true we had that. But propaganda doesn't mean a lie. That's not what it means. Propaganda is just
like
marketing,
a lot of
PR.
The economic reforms that FDR implemented were to fight the propaganda of commies, you know, in the Soviet Union, all this stuff. Sure.
Right. So as a result of the PR wars, I'm hyper aware of when I hear PR shit being said to me, such as, that's just rotten. I've heard every single one of these, or whataboutism is a nonsense thing to never say again. Just here's a hint. That's a real midwit, mediocre, fucking thought-terminating expression.
Doing whataboutism is midwit.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. No, it
isn't.
It is. It's not. There's no such thing as that. I'm telling you history and facts that pertain to the case. If you were in court, you wouldn't go, that's what objection, whataboutism. That's not how that works.
It boils down to what about America?
Saying a whataboutism, you can disagree with whether it is a whataboutism or not, but a whataboutism is saying, oh, you're bringing up something that's not related to the topic.
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
Hypocrisy is hypocrisy is hypocrisy. Whataboutism is a way to avoid act like you're not a hypocrite.
Look, you can't.
Well, no, wait.
You're a hypocrite if you condemn someone for a crime you did.
Nations, though. Look, you can pin hypocrisy on an individual. You can't pin hypocrisy on a fucking institution because institutions are controlled by different people over time with different opinions and different
before we get off on the whataboutism train,
perspectives.
I wanted to get back because to what I was saying about with your lens, Kurt, because I think you are being controlled by your lens, because when I am looking into the facts, like the Nuland phone call and this other stuff, you say, well, I don't trust any facts on it whatsoever.
I'm not giving the benefit of the doubt
to them. It's not a question of giving the benefit of the doubt. It's a question of you have to say that there's a conspiracy, essentially, that you have no evidence exists based on your lens. It's not based on anything that you're seeing.
You can read this shit openly if you want. All these think tanks have been saying what they're going to do. Condoleezza Rice said what they were going to do. They've said it out loud.
I'm only talking about the Nuland phone call, and you keep changing the subject.
I think you're interpreting it how you want to interpret it, and I'm interpreting it as in clearly we're interfering with another country in a way that
you're interpreting it though with the level of the Kyle Rittenhouse videos when the phone call is nowhere as clear as the Kyle Rittenhouse videos.
So if we're stoking a coup on one end and on the other end she's making arrangements, that means there's a crime going on. We stoked the coup. That's not made up. That's what we did.
That's what we all.
Wait, that's
what do you think of color revolution? All that bullshit is.
Wait, Kurt, that's already acknowledging what I'm saying, which I don't understand whether you're doing.
I think you have less information than me is what I think.
No,
I think you have less.
I really don't. Because
that's impossible.
You can say, listen, Sitch, you could be, you're right about this phone call, but I still feel like that, Nuland or the U.S. government was, stoking the coup in some other way. And I can say, okay, well, let's look at what those other claims are. But we can never get to that point, because we have to argue about what, the phone call the whole time.
Dude, this is why I can't stop saying I don't give a shit about stuff, because one, you couldn't even talk about that with the context around it to even make any sense. There's no way to even interpret the phone call outside of the events going on at the time. You have to look at all of them together. It's not whataboutism. It's called context.
Yeah, but we did literally look at the context.
That's literally
we've been trying to take Ukraine.
What I said. That's literally what I said. I said people would read this phone call. They're reading in the past, by the way, they're reading the future, by the way. They're reading it once Yovanovitch has already been removed from office, years later, and they're making a determination about it based on their understanding, without looking at the context, missing the very simple context of, well, wait a minute, Yovanovitch offered this position. So I'm the one looking at the context. The people making the coup claim about the phone call are the ones removing it from
putting
context.
leverage on him with a coup. That's why he did that.
That's a different
Do you not
claim.
get it?
That's a completely different
It directly affects the phone call. How would it be a fucking not related thing?
I'd
You
say
think
it's
he
not
would have done
related.
that if we hadn't helped the coup?
Kurt,
Do you
if
think
I
he would have?
said, Kurt, wait. If I said, Kurt, you killed my mother, and you said,
Okay.
what the fuck? I didn't kill your mother. And you explain, and I said, no, you killed my mother. I have evidence. And you look at the evidence and you say, no, you're wrong, Sitch. I didn't kill your mom because blah, 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 blah. And I say, oh, well, you didn't kill her, but you called her a nasty name, right? And it's like,
This
well,
is the worst analogy yet. You've outdone yourself with bad analogies.
I changed the goalpost. I shifted the goalpost. I changed what the conversation was about.
Here's why Yanukovych was working with them, because we were cooing him. That's why he was like that. So that's why the phone call was happening.
Sid, can you turn your mic up a little bit?
The original claim. Well, hold on. Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay. The original claim for the Nuland phone call is that this is the number one piece of evidence that the U.S. was cooing the Ukrainian government.
I didn't say that. I don't know where you're getting that from.
I don't know if you said that, but that's what Jimmy is saying, and that's what Dave.
He did not say that's the number one evidence at all. He did not.
I went back and I watched Jimmy's video when the war first started, and he was talking to Aaron Mata or who, maybe Sam, or who's the other
Max.
Yeah, or I think it was Max. I think it was Max Blumenthal, and and Jimmy's going through the whole thing, and he says. The first thing he says is United States cooed the Ukrainian government. And the very first thing he says is he brings up the Nuland phone call and he reads parts of the Nuland phone call.
Okay, but he didn't say the number one fucking evidence is blah, blah, blah. That's not true.
Every single article I read, and I was reading Dave's sources and I was reading Jimmy's sources and I've read Max's sources and I've read Aaron Mata's sources. Every source I've read that makes this claim that United States cooed Ukraine, the Nuland phone call is literally the first thing they bring up.
So what if it's the first thing they bring up? Did you read the rest of it?
So wait. So if I go in and I explain and I say, wait a minute, this phone call, you're interpreting it completely incorrectly. You can't suddenly say, oh, well, that doesn't matter. Or, oh, well, it still proves this other completely different things. Like, no, you guys were wrong about your interpretation of the phone call.
Okay, here's a better analogy.
Just like the people who are wrong about Kyle Rittenhouse. It's the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
It is. It literally is. How's it not?
What is your contention about the phone call? Yanukovych asked her to help. Is that what your contention is?
No. The claim was this phone call shows that Nuland was planning the structure of the government once Yanukovych is ousted out of office in a month. Okay. That's what the claim was.
And you say it's what?
However, the actual phone call is Yanukovych himself, not planning to be ousted, offered this position to Yatsenyuk in order to placate the protesters.
Yes.
Nuland is weighing in on whether he thinks Yatsenyuk should take the position. Yatsenyuk and Klinsko should take the positions that are offered to them by the current president.
Why is she weighing in on that?
That's a completely
Why is she weighing in on that if it's not for anything other than a nefarious? Why would she weigh in on it?
You can say she shouldn't weigh in on it, but that's a worlds apart of saying that the phone call proves that they cooed Yanukovych.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
Okay, I have never said the phone call alone proves that. I know Jimmy didn't say that because that would be fucking stupid.
He didn't say alone, but he used it as a piece of evidence, right?
It is definitely part of
evidence.
It's a puzzle piece in the puzzle for sure.
Yeah, but
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
If someone's making a claim and they say you're wrong and here are 5 reasons why you're wrong, I can only go through each reason individually and say, well, no, you're wrong about claim 1, claim 2, claim 3, claim 4, and claim 5. And so that's what I'm doing with the Nuland phone call. I'm saying, well, wait a minute, your claim 1 is wrong.
I showed you. Play that, will you?
Play what?
The one I sent you.
Right now?
Well, I watch it because it's like I'm trying to tell you what's in it.
I got 6 minutes into it, but I didn't watch past 6 minutes.
I mean, it has a lot to do with the whole situation. You don't have to watch it. I have to let my girlfriend in right now, dude. All right, guys, I gotta go. I'll see you later. I love you both. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thanks.
Take care, Kurt. Be nice to us.
I'm gonna get Hinkle. I am nice to you.
Why do we want to talk to Hinkle? What the fuck?
Because he can get into those. It sounds like you have a bias to not think the worst about America.
We have a bias against close-minded ideologues. Okay, the last thing we want to do is talk to another close-minded ideologue. So
I'm not an ideologue at all.
You kind of were saying Reuters is part of a conspiracy to fake print
the
fake news
billionaire that
based on
owns
nothing.
Reuters, not Reuters.
Reuters, thank you.
Yeah. By the way, every time you hear about, we got to stop misinformation, all those cunt billionaires that own these things are all in on that, along with the government. It's a lot of things are tied into it. Why don't you think we should take a moment to thank Islamic terrorists for just stopping that Islamic terror? Because I haven't heard about that shit for quite some time. Now the terror that our Department of Homeland Security worries about is you saying things on Twitter. Isn't that weird that threat of Islamic terror just disappeared? And now we got to worry about American citizens saying misinformation about a war we're not personally fighting. Is that strange?
It's very
strange. Just odd.
Let your girlfriend in before she gets mad.
Kurt, wait, no, I got one super chat for you,
probably
Kurt.
Watching on the thing.
Say one nice thing about America.
Stand-up comedy is invented here, man. And you go any other country, they have good comics, but it's an American fucking thing. Has some roots in China too, believe it or not.
You would get arrested in Russia or China probably for.
I did stand up in comedy. I did stand up in China. I didn't get arrested.
No, I mean if you were speaking about America the way China the way you're speaking about America and China.
Why would I go to China?
In Russia, they would make him like they would make him a senator. What are you talking about?
Would that be a brave thing to do to go fucking? I mean,
no, that's not my point. But
you'd be invited into Putin's inner circle.
I don't know if you
Russia.
know. Oh, you think I get in some trouble? I don't know if you know the shit that happened to me just saying the truth here in America, but it wasn't pleasant. It wasn't fucking pleasant.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know if we should get into it because I don't know if you.
Well, here's the thing about China that I found that was interesting to me. It was like a funhouse mirror of here in many ways, but in China, like nobody cares about the cops. They just give them the finger and shit. They're not armed. We ran from the cops on the second day because of a dispute, and they don't follow you. You have to stand in place, so they're not coming. Those are cops. The culture ministry, that's like ski masks and fucking Uzis and shit will come get you. But the thing is, you know what not to say, actually. It's very clear. Like they said, talk about whatever you want, any government you want, and there's not the Chinese government. Now, at the time, I didn't know shit about the Chinese government, right. So I was like, deal.
That's great.
Okay. Here in America, you'll notice we have a retroactive freelance free market system of people. Basically started with me with like wannabe comics that also work for HuffPo or the Daily Beast. And these shitbag companies, these reporters like sharecroppers, they pay them dick. They're like, go get like rumors and shit. Then an editor slaps the clickbait headline. The fake reporter doesn't even write the headline. The editor, I learned this from talking to these people. They put the headline on it. And so there was an incentive to just try to destroy as many people for nonsense. Well, who cares what a comedian said about anything, anywhere, ever? Who gives a shit? Why would a paper have to report on something like that? Well, these are like wannabe comics and people not paid enough, and they have an incentive to. That's how it was called call-out culture back when I went through it. And then that cancel shit became a thing. Right. But that grew directly out of the clickbait media, and it's all underpaid fucking losers that aren't real journalists. There was like bloggers and wannabes and shit, and some of them were probably like fans of me from things I did, and they viewed it as their jurisdiction. And then you're guilty of crimes for saying things you didn't even know were wrong at all. Nobody made the rules are retroactive. So that's what we have here. Your social credit goes down for some shit you did 10 years ago when it was okay. China don't do that. They have it very clear, and then they'll tell you the new rule. I don't want any kind of system doing that to me, but it did make me laugh how you knew at least what you would get in trouble for, and they didn't just make up a new thing every other day, freelance, how we have it here.
Right. Well, I'll take, even though I'm vehemently against all this woke shit, I mean, that's what we spend, 99% of our time complaining about, criticizing.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? It's on purpose. It's on purpose. We should be talking about the 7 wars we have, but on purpose.
Well, okay, but
they report bullshit.
We've talked about Ukraine a lot. Okay. So
what interests me is the woke stuff, and that's why we talk about it. And there's lots of people that talk about other issues. But as someone who talks so much about woke shit, talks about so in favor of free speech, and complains about all this stuff, I will take the woke mob canceling me any day over guys in ski masks who work for the government, blackbacking me because I dared to speak out against my government's actions. So,
that's
just me though.
If you ever did whistleblow on the government, you'd be running to fucking Russia, because guess what? We're never gonna have a Pentagon Papers, which, by the way, that was a good thing that happened, that those papers were stolen from Rand, and then they were exposed. Those are state secrets, and it showed us the crimes, and they want to make sure that never happens again. And it wasn't the right wingers. It was fucking Obama. Well, I guess he is right wing. Obama's the one who fucking tortured Chelsea Manning and made sure